Hi, everyone. My name is Danielle Miranda, and thank you so much for joining me on today's podcast episode titled The Current State of Spiritual Advisor Platforms. I'm really excited about today's episode because I have a special guest with me. This advisor is world renowned, very well known, has been in the business for many years, extremely intuitive, empathic, and has incredible psychic gifts. And I'm very excited to have him as a guest on today's episode. Thank you very much. And I would like to welcome Ranses Valente. Hi, Ranses.
Thank you so much, Daniel. I am so excited for being here, Daniel Miranda, and I'm so excited to be part of Estrella as well. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Of course, of course. I was super excited to have you as our guest because I felt like you would be the perfect advisor to talk about spirituality and the current state of these spiritual platforms and
Mhm.
how a lot of these platforms have this good side to them, a bad side to them, and sometimes even an ugly side to them. What's
Yes,
really neat is, as I'm sure that you can confirm, spirituality has become more popular today than it has ever been. And
exactly.
and and in fact, it's a multi-billion dollar industry. Would you agree?
I agree, and it's become even more. Hmm.
Yes. And so, with that being said, and because it's so popular now, you're seeing that there are a lot more resources and platforms out there for people to become connected with these spiritual advisors.
Hmm. I agree with
Yes.
you. And this actually is a good question you said, because imagine in the past, you need to go to some place, you need to find someone. People will tell you, like, you have to go there. With technology, you have an advisor I call in your pocket because you have always a platform and it's 24 hours, 7 days a week. So this is good. Hmm.
Mhm. Now, before we dive into today's episode, I want to say that there are a lot of platforms out there for us to be connected with spiritual advisors, but I'm really excited to bring up one particular platform here that is going to be launching in the next few months. And that spiritual platform is called Estrella. Now, I'm going to provide some more information on Estrella at the end of this episode, but for now, I just wanted to put that out there so that you guys are aware that there is something brand new coming out that's going to be incredible. So let's go ahead and dive right in.
Let's go. Hmm.
We're going to talk about the good side of spiritual platforms here. And Ranses, I'm really excited to kind of like discuss these amazing aspects of spiritual platforms
Hmm.
because what I've noticed, and I don't know if you can agree with me on this, but these spiritual platforms that advisors have access to, it allows them to be on this global stage. So you're able to show off your brand, really talk about your abilities, talents, and gifts, and be able to connect with a larger client base. And I just wanted to get your insight on that.
I really like what you said because it is true. So before, like I said, it was a few people, and now you're globally. Especially depending the language, it doesn't matter where you speak, which language your mother language, mother tongue. So it's going to be always a crowd for that public, and they have like to pick. They can choose the clients based on what they read. So, example, if they like the advisor, they connect to. So that's very interesting because they just buy how many minutes they want to talk. And sometimes they have questions that it's annoying them for so long. And they come to a psychic just to release and to find the answer.
Would you say that having access to these spiritual platforms and being one of the top advisors in the world on these platforms, would you say that this has allowed you to experience amazing success stories within your client base?
wow, it changed not just my life but their lives. I think that's the most beautiful. So as a bilingual, so I used to do only in Portuguese before.
Mm.
And then came the platforms. So it was an openness for me to be able to connect to clients around the world through the platforms. So I'm truly gifted and I'm truly happy that this happened. And then the audience just grew up, people connected, and they just start to come frequently, and they would have their answers, they would have what they were looking for. So this has changed not just my life, but I think like it gave me an opportunity in a place that I thought I would never be able to. Hmm.
Now, you've been doing this for a very long time. So obviously, you've been able to experience so many awesome things about being able to market yourself on these platforms. But would you agree that being on these spiritual platforms has allowed your clients to have easier access to you than if the platforms were not available at all? Have you noticed a difference in clients
Absolutely,
being able to
absolutely.
ask?
It changed because now you are sometimes the face of some platforms. Sometimes they put you as the star they call. So it depends the platform. So you become someone now seeing. So you are seeing, people can come to you. So that gives easy access to them. Especially if you spend more hours on the platform, people can come more often to you. Absolutely. It changes the whole thing. Instead of being local, you just go globally now. It is beautiful.
That is amazing. And
Mhm.
and let's discuss a little bit about the community building within these platforms. So
Okay.
these platforms are offering a sense of community building, and you've had experience with having a global community accessible to you, and them being accessible for the clients to have access to you and for you to have access to the clients. Excuse me. So let me ask you
Mhm.
this. When it comes to community building, can we talk about, are there any type of forums offered on these platforms? Are you finding that the community itself is able to connect with one another? Are they able to connect with you outside of their sessions? What are some of the experiences that you have seen with the community building on these spiritual platforms?
Okay. The community building, let's say that is more closed than you think. The community building is more like, so they have two types. The one that they actually communicate themselves to the client, and the one that the advisors only participate. Because usually you don't use your real name. People know you but they don't know your real name. It's a strategy. So they actually know me as certain names, but not as my real name. And that's to preserve the community, to be exactly closed and to just give information that is actually important for us advisors. And then there's the community that integrates them, that merchandises them, that it's public for them. You see, there's a tricky thing there. Mhm.
So, would you say that it's important to allow clients to access advisors, or do you think that moving forward, that spiritual platforms should continue to separate the two?
I absolutely agree that you should unify and stop the fear of losing them because of anything. A platform is like Uber. Uber always have using the name. I don't know if I can, but Uber always has clients, and it's going to have. So and it's much better, like that person is driving me. You feel much more confident, and the person also feels confident that it's working for the company instead of going to sometimes the place that you don't even know the name of the person that you're talking to. So that's kind of worrying. Hmm.
I am really excited to actually bring up this aspect of spiritual platforms.
Oh,
The
that's
tech,
very important.
the technology has evolved so much on these platforms that even 10 years ago, for instance, you weren't able to have, video chat on these platforms or
Nothing.
actual like clear phone messages and phone calls to access these advisors. Now you can even have recordings. So if
Mhm.
you want to go back to a session and listen to what was said, you can have access to those recordings. So let's talk a little bit about that. What have been some of the changes and the innovative technological advances that you've seen on these spiritual platforms when it comes to video conferencing, phone calls, and chat?
Amazing. What I see was like life changing because now people, they not only they can actually see themselves on video, they can choose to chat with the person, and also they can use only audio because it depends what the modality they want to. And the range of prices of each advisors change due to this technology. So you see, you have access the way you prefer. If you like to talk, seeing the person, you pay for the price for that. If you just prefer not to be anonymous, even to be like no one knows who you are, you can definitely be anonymous with chat, with audio, and you can put username that you create, and then you have the access to listen over and over. So
Mhm.
that's the most interesting part because sometimes absolutely you're going to forget. Depends how long you spend with the reader, and details are very important when it comes to a reading. Hmm.
And what's even more awesome and really cool is that now you're bringing this other aspect of AI into the mix, right? And
Yes.
AI is now being generated as an option to even narrow down what advisor is right for a client. So now you went from, as a client, just getting any advisor to now you're able to narrow down which advisor is going to meet your needs.
Wow, exactly that. So, can you imagine now you bring the next step, the revolution? So, because you're going to actually have a form, the client has a form, you have a form. So, and then what they're going to do, they match this exactly type of personality. So, because that's very important, you have to have a connection with your client. Because if you don't have this connection with your client, it doesn't work.
Right,
They won't believe you and you won't connect to them because it's
right.
about connection. Hmm.
Mhm. What I want to bring up here is Estrella is going to offer that. So, for those of you who are listening to this podcast, and for those of you who are advisors, I want you to get excited right now because you are going to be able to experience a platform, a brand new platform that is not only going to be technologically advanced with AI driven modalities, but also with video conferencing and chat, phone calls. You're going to feel like you can absolutely highlight your talents and gifts as an advisor to your clientele. And that is something that Estrella is going to have on its platform. Another thing that I'm really excited to talk about with Estrella really quick is that the community base is going to be amazing. You're going to feel as if you are a part of a family. You are not going to feel like an outsider. This is not going to sound like a platform where you are, you know, essentially a slave. I mean, you're just doing what you need to do to get by. You're going to be able to be on this platform and highlight your talents, your gifts, build your clientele, sell your products, display who you are. This is a platform finally where you can be you.
Right.
And I know Estrella is excited to have advisors from all different walks of life on this platform. And they are also really excited to build a tight knit community where you feel like you're a family. So that's something to look forward to and to keep in mind that Estrella is going to have on its platform. All right. So, I mean, we brought up the good stuff, some exciting nuggets into the situation when it comes to
Okay.
these spiritual
Hmm.
platforms. And now we're going to kind of talk about the bad stuff with
Good.
spiritual platforms, because I think it's important that it's not just about highlighting the good, right? It's also important to
Exactly.
highlight the bad or the
Mm.
negative aspects of spiritual platforms, because let's be honest, it is real and it does exist. So
Exactly.
let's talk about some of the bad aspects. And if you don't mind, Rances, I'm going to just ask you some questions. And,
Go for it.
you know,
I'm
whatever you
ready.
feel like sharing would be
I
amazing.
will.
So I've noticed that, within these spiritual platforms, there is a market oversaturation. And what I mean by that is you are having thousands of advisors coming onto these spiritual platforms. The problem is
Every day.
that, and correct me if I'm wrong, the more advisors are becoming on these platforms, is it true that the less likely you're being able to be seen by clients?
Absolutely. So imagine now you have everything under an umbrella, just one. And then this umbrella has all the rights of many other companies. So what they do, they share this amount of money daily, that how much they're going to spend on merchandise. Because before it was independent, now it's become a monopoly. That's one thing that is very interesting. So they are shown, less. People that are new, especially that just starting this business, they feel like, wow, I don't have clients. Wow, no one comes to me. And sure, it's so many people on the platform sometimes that you are not going to be seen on the list. So
Hmm,
your name is not going to pop up
right.
unless you've been working for a while and building your audience.
Right. So, with that being said, right, and having so many advisors on these platforms, how have you found that you've been able to stand out in a sea of advisors on these platforms? What are some strategies or tools that you've used on these platforms to stand out so that clients can see you?
So it's interesting. It's like you have to work as many hours as you can. So you have to create numbers, numerical computer numbers. That's how it works. The ones that work the most, they're going to be more on the front page of each independent the platform you are on. So they work as many hours as they can. So the ones that work the most is the one that is going to be on the front of the page. So
Hmm.
that's how it works. So you have to work basically as many hours as you can. Some people work like more than 16 hours a day.
Mm. That can be a lot. Working that many hours can be exhausting. And,
It
you know,
is.
to be
Mhm.
honest, I don't know if that's really like realistic long term, correct?
Exactly, because then you don't know. I believe as a one that actually is a reader as well. You take so much energy that you don't know if you're actually in the end of you're so tired. You don't know if you're saying the truth or not. So this could be the bad thing. You don't know what's going on anymore because in your mind there are tons of thoughts of other people's that's been passing and passing and passing, so you don't deliver your best anymore, probably in the end of your shift.
Hmm. Now, with that being said, because you have a spiritual advisor that may be tired, right? After
Exactly.
working 16 plus hours just to get in front of a few different people on these platforms, I would imagine that that would also affect the quality of the advisor, right? And then
Absolutely.
having this motivation to want to do
Mhm.
an exceptional job with each and every client. Is that correct?
Absolutely, because can you imagine you have to focus on what you're going to do? Some people, they don't even have the time to get out in front of the cell phone because imagine that someone can call them any moment, or they sometimes they choose chat just on purpose. This is a bad thing. They choose only chat because they are working whatever they are. If they're in the supermarket, they stop at the search answer. So whatever they are doing, that's why they choose chat, because chat is going to be, no one's going to see them, no one's going to know where they are, and they're going to give some answer. So you sometimes you're not even connected to the moment, but just to take your life going, because you don't want to lose the client, because people are worried and thinking about the percentage of money they take. And that's why I have to think, oh, I have to pay them, and then I have to see how much I'm going to get from the reading as well. So you have to work a lot sometimes. Mhm.
Mm.
More than a
And right,
regular job.
yes. And Ramses, let me ask you this. So with all of that being said, one of the things that I've talked to people about and that I've started to see as a trend on these spiritual platforms is the level of quality and authenticity amongst these spiritual advisors. There's
Mhm.
so many different levels of expertise of these advisors on these platforms. You have people that are beginners that are just starting out, and then you have people that have been in the business for 30 plus years.
Yes.
With
Mhm.
such a diverse range of advisors, how on earth can a client feel like they can trust the advisor with readings when there have been stories of advisors not being trustworthy, telling clients what they want to hear just so they can get their money, giving
Mhm.
clients false hope, and just like I said, not being a reliable source of information for clients. So what do you think is the issue behind this, and how can this be changed?
Okay. That the fear is because we have reviews. So imagine that. So the person comes, okay? So they are completely hopeless about everything that is happening with them. So sometimes what happens is that you can, by their voice, you are doing the reading. So if you don't have the talent, that's what I'm saying. If you don't have the talent to nail how you give the information, they're going to give bad reviews about you.
Mhm.
And the reviews nowadays in most platforms make your points, your score goes down, and then you don't have clients. So that's what people were learning. People were learning to give the answer they want instead of giving the real answer. Because if they score are too low, they are not going to have business. Make sense
Mm,
now?
yes, it
Mm-hmm.
does. Yes, it does. So you're saying that because the advisors are afraid of getting a bad rating and a
Yes,
bad review, they're basically saying whatever they need to say to make the client happy just so they can get that good review. Is that correct?
exactly. Mm-hmm. And this is happening quite a lot on the platform.
Mm,
On not just one, I mean, in all platforms.
mm. One of the things that I want to bring up for the ones that are listening and watching today is Estrella, as a matter of fact, is not going to have any ratings where a client can rate you as an advisor. So you're going to be able to highlight your talents and gifts, be on the platform, have these readings, and not be rated by the clients. Because at the end of the day, I think what Estrella really wants to hone in and focus on is that it's not about the ratings. It's
Mhm.
about you as a spiritual advisor being comfortable being yourself and speaking
Exactly.
your truth,
Hmm.
right?
Exactly. So you cannot lie, you know. So that's what we want. We can want to help them. Mhm.
Yes. So I think that's going to be a really, just in that aspect alone, I think this is going to be great to have a platform out there that does not do that and allows you to just do the reading in peace and do your service in peace without feeling that pressure of a rating.
Mhm.
So one thing that I do want to bring up that I've heard from other advisors that I've spoken to in the past is the commission rates, the high costs that
Mhm.
advisors have to pay out just to be on these platforms. So I'm sure that
Absolutely.
there's a price that you have to pay to be on the platform, and sometimes you're not even making enough money to really justify staying on these platforms. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So it's up to, let's break down in numbers. it's being ridiculous. It's being like 70% you pay for. 70. Can you imagine that? And usually you stay with 30% just to be able to work on the platform. And you get all the blame, you get all the fault, you get everything that is negative all on your back. So you don't have any backup that helps, that makes you feel comfortable. No, you feel sometimes that's very heavy what I'm going to say, but you feel that you're working because you're a freelancer for all those companies, so you're working and you have no help. So you just feel like you're a number. And we are. And some people there, they have experiences around the world. They've been doing this for years. But for the companies itself, it's just one more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, what I'm realizing is that these companies that have these platforms are really worried about just making their money. Okay. So
Exactly.
it's not really about highlighting the advisor and letting them build a business. It's really about
Mhm.
the company building their own business. And
Exactly.
so, what I would like to say for all the advisors out there that are listening and watching is really be mindful of reading the pay structure that you guys are being offered on these platforms and understand what's on the table for yourself. And if possible, try to negotiate better terms for yourself because at the end of the day, this is your business, this is your livelihood. And you don't want to feel like you're getting the short end of the stick, especially if you've been doing this for, like I said, 30 plus years.
Exactly. Mhm.
So, one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, and I have talked to other advisors about this, is them being afraid that they cannot use their real identity. They can't use their real identity on the platforms, they can't use their real identity on social media or anything else because they're being tracked and watched. So, as the spiritual advisor yourself, Ranses, can we
Mhm.
talk a little bit about that? Why are
Yeah.
these advisors having fears of using their real names?
So it's because you can't. There's a contract when you sign that you can't because they cannot find you out of the platform because you are watched by all the platforms if you are in touch with the customer because they are afraid of losing the customer, the client, to you. And then they come straight to you, so they would lose. Instead of understanding that if someone loves the company they work, it's the opposite and it's pay fair. It wouldn't lose. That would be the way you would actually communicate and bring in more people and actually have more clients that would admirate you and
Hmm,
not work scared that you cannot say many words and many things and your thought is full of those fears and sometimes you're not comfortable doing it.
right, absolutely. And I'm sure like a lot of that is probably security purposes too, right? To protect the
Yes.
spiritual advisors from the
hmm
clients. That way, because at the end of the day, this is you guys' career and your job and your gifts, and you don't
Exactly.
want anybody to essentially take advantage of that. Correct?
Absolutely.
Uh, Let me ask you this. So, do you have any opportunity as a spiritual advisor to sell anything that you offer on these platforms? So, are you able to sell any books or offer any type of coupons or candles or anything that you yourself have created and have made? Are you able to highlight them on these platforms?
Never. So it's all about readings. And can you imagine that every single advisor, they probably have at least, I'm talking about the top ones, okay? They have at least tarot cards, they have at least some other platform thing, they have created books, they have created materials, they have tons of things to offer. Like even therapy, because they become good on that. So, but they cannot offer any of those things because it's just, it's about like minute by minute by minute. And the way they take is just the way it is.
That's interesting that you say that because I would imagine that these advisors have things that they make or that they have wrote or done that they would like to show their clients and sell to their clients, right?
Absolutely. Mhm. But we don't have where to do it. That's why. So far, none of the platforms allow you to sell and to upsell and to show what you have and to really have a page that is about you, because they don't want to promote the reader so much. They want to promote the web page and bring people, bring, you know.
Absolutely. And hopefully, there is going to be a big shift in that, because I do believe that, spiritual advisors should have the right to be able to sell their goods and their items, right? That's a
Yeah.
point of what you guys do. And I think it would benefit the clients to have access to their advisor in that regard. So
Mhm.
I'm something tells me that there's going to be a platform out there that will have that ability to be able to do that for the advisors.
I agree.
So let's talk about something else, if that's okay. I've noticed that I've noticed through talking to other people that have had the opportunity to be on these platforms that some of the advisors may be afraid of being honest in a reading, truly open and honest, because they
Mhm.
are terrified of getting a horrible review. And I've heard of advisors that have
Yes.
had horrible things said about them. And I wanted to ask
Mhm.
you, what is your experience with that? Have you found that sometimes you're afraid to be open and honest in a reading because you have had horrible reviews?
Yes, I have done it, and I had so many. And I mean, compared to the amount of people you give, you cannot have like for 100, or let's say 100 people. If you have one bad review, so you have to make 100 more good reviews to cover 1.01. Can you imagine that? So it's crazy. But I have had, and it was terrible because they are advisors.
Mm,
So that's the ugliest thing that I've ever seen. So
wow.
they pretend to be clients. They see that you are succeeding, and then they come as with fake, names. And we know in the community, because we have a community, we talk to each other, and we know that that person gives the bad reviews to everyone. So
Mm,
you see how it is. So it's like someone always try, because they know that the score is the most important thing. So they're gonna give bad reviews. And also you have haters. So you're going to have people that just come to destroy you. They just come to do that. They don't care what you're gonna say. They don't care, how much love you're giving to your work or anything. They just come to give you hate. And I have experienced all of those things. Haters, advisors that are fake, a fake account, and also people that are like unhappy with their lives. Anything you can say and anything that is there, they won't believe. When it's so good, they say, "Oh, it's not going to happen." So because they are in the bad position of like being, with depression or something, because you don't talk about, medical and legal stuffs, and that's important. We don't mention that, but we know. That's why we're sensitive. We can feel things, but we cannot mention that.
mm. That's very disheartening to know that as a spiritual advisor, you have one of your own that is giving you bad reviews. That has to create some type of animosity and tension amongst the advisors, correct?
Absolutely. So, like, sometimes I myself, just so you understand, when I work on platforms, I feel like, oh my gosh, let's go. Because you don't know what's going to happen. If you're going to have someone that is fake, someone that is, going through something and going to give you just a bad review, base it on because they don't believe the goodest or what is going to happen there. Because it's very different each reading, it's very because each one is so individual. But then you get disheartened, like you said, you get afraid because you feel like, okay, every word that counts now. So, what should I say? Sometimes the reading is not pointing any positiveness, but you have, like I said, you have to be very skilled to know how to deliver that so they understand and change in a way that is going to be positive.
Mm. And adding on to that, with that being said, because you do have moments or times on these platforms as an advisor where you're experiencing, you know, verbal abuse, you're experiencing
Yes.
abuse through reviews, and
Mm-hmm.
this could affect the psychological aspect of that advisor. So, Ranses, if
Mm-hmm.
I may ask, like, because of these possibilities, do you guys have support and networking that are being offered to you as spiritual advisors on these platforms?
Can you imagine that not? And we go through exactly that. So sometimes they curse, sometimes they come, they put all their hate there because they just want someone to swear and scream and shout out. And that's you. So we don't have any support. And then you have to go and find your own support. So I go to my therapist, and it's important for me, my spiritual advisor too. So that's what I do to actually have my cleansing because I have to detox. So I have to find my own way because if you don't do that, you're going to bring all that energy to you and remains in you. So that's too much, too much.
So, because these spiritual platforms do not offer any type of networking and support for you guys, you're
Mhm.
finding that you have to go outside of the platforms
We
to
have
find resources for yourself so that you can cleanse and feel better to continue to work. Is that correct?
exactly. And then you ended up like having to build whatever you believe in, whatever each one goes for it, but they have to create their own rituals sometimes, their own protection, their own therapy skills. They have to go towards after all the readers they trust. So it's like a mechanism that works behind this world because we need to protect ourselves always, constantly, building and shielding, but sometimes we can't. So then you feel depressed the entire day because of one person that was so heavy and you forgot to block yourself and shield. So that's why I said working too much, it's going to show there something is wrong. Hmm.
I think clients tend to forget that at the end of the day, spiritual advisors are human too.
Oh yes, they think we are a type of like goddess and
Yeah.
goddesses. No, we're humans
Mhm.
with talents.
Yes. And so you guys go through your moments of stress and anxiety and depression and sadness. And, I do believe that it is important that there is a platform out there where you guys can also be nurtured and cared for and valued when you're going through moments like this. Because let's face it, you're going to have clients that are not going to be so nice all the time. You're going to
Oh,
have clients that are going to be mean and rude and inconsiderate. And it is important to have a platform for the advisors where if they need to express what's going on or be able to be vulnerable and open, that there is a community that's trusted and safe for you guys to be able to be on. So I
yes.
think that's important.
I agree with you. And I hope, to have one of those companies soon, to be part of something like that. Hmm.
So, one of the things that has become prevalent on spiritual platforms is scams and fraudulent practices. So, there
Hmm.
are some platforms where they are not legit. They
Hmm.
do have scams, and you're paying more than you thought, or you're not getting the type of value that you thought you would be getting from an advisor.
Yes.
So, what kind of experiences as an advisor have you had from the advisor aspect on these
Hmm.
platforms? Have you yourself experienced any scam or fraudulent practices towards you?
Okay. I feel that I did, and especially when specific one company actually one day they told us they would change the rate. We used to have one rate, and the other day they changed the rate. So they took more from us. And it was not a decision that was made in group. They just came with this strategy, and it was done. That was the way it was. So for us, we felt like totally they stole from us. And but do we leave these companies? No, because we need to be what? Being seen. So we need to be seen, and we are afraid to leave the companies because we live from this. So most of psychics, they don't have a second job. So psychics are psychics nowadays. It's a profession. So, and that's how I see it. It's a profession. You know, you have the talents, you know, you have the skill, but it's also a profession. So you have to sometimes go through so many, things behind the scenes that you just like feel like, oh my gosh, but you don't give up. You stand up, go, and just face the world.
You brought up a very good point just now when you had talked about how some of these spiritual advisors, this is their means of living. This is all they do. They don't work another job.
Mhm.
So, with that being said, let me ask you this. Are you finding as a spiritual advisor that there are tools and resources for you guys to get adequate training?
No, there's no. And that's one thing that also bothers me because I've been practicing this for more than 25 years. You know that, Daniel, like I've been talking to you before. So it's been interesting that we talk about how long I've been in the industry. So I see people now coming with, they're not ready. They just finished their course, their inter basic things, and they are not ready to deal with this whole thing. So then they don't have where to go and to understand how to deal with cameras, how to deal with platforms, because you don't have a course or like how to be able to learn. You don't have a tool such as that, just written. But some people are visual. They want to actually see on the camera, watch and learn. So we don't.
So yeah, I mean, that's really important. You have to be able to have tools and resources for advisors, especially if they're beginners and they are
Yes.
just starting off and they don't know where to go. All they're given
Mhm.
is a website where the platform is being held. They're told, "Hey, this is what you're supposed to do," and then they're kind of left off on their own.
Yes.
And I'm sure, with that being said, a lot of advisors out here can agree with me saying that that's probably not the right way to keep spiritual advisors on these platforms long term.
Yes, because then they're going to start to do all the wrong things.
Right.
It's so funny. You see this, especially with beginners, because we have the screen, so we see all the people that is working there. And the beginners, the ones that they don't understand this world, they don't understand the mystical thing yet. They have the talent, but they don't have the skill to deal with that. So they are massacred on their reviews, and if they're massacres on the reviews, and they won't have clients anymore. That's why. So it burns them forever. So they won't have a second chance.
Yeah.
It's a one world chance of being psychic.
Yeah. So, the goal is, the hope is that there will be a spiritual platform out there that will give advisors the confidence to be able to sign up and
Mhm.
have a guide, training videos, resources where they will know from start to finish exactly what to do and how to run their business.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, you know, again, like you said, this is their career. So it's important that they feel confident and comfortable with running their business, correct?
Exactly. And we have to use the word business. Sometimes people think practicing, like psychic, it's a gift that you receive, so you should offer for free. No, if you're talented and you are working, that's a work, that's a job. So that's a business. And we have the right, I think, to run in the best way possible, like you said, and have like no reviews that are scandalistic because it's so real sometimes what they write on the reviews, especially when it's negative. They write a book. So it's a special attack. and then you feel unmotivated. So you see how it's tricky, this world, but it's a
Absolutely.
business and you have the talent. So what you're asking for, it's like what you need. You want a car. Sometimes people just think about cars, but they don't think about themselves. So changing yourself, change everything. And a
Mm-hmm.
psychic's there to help you, to guide, to to give you the everything that you need.
Absolutely. I think
Mhm.
it's important to kind of shifting gears a little bit. I think it's important that people recognize that just as much as clients need protection and privacy on these platforms, spiritual advisors do too. They
Yeah.
need to have privacy protection. And it's important that these platforms offer advanced encryption so that they can have this protection and privacy.
Mhm.
And I wanted to ask you from an advisor standpoint, have you ever felt like your privacy wasn't being respected? Did you ever feel like you weren't protected? If so, if you could talk about that and elaborate in
Mhm.
detail, that'd be great.
Okay.
And
So what I
what could
feel
be,
oh, sorry. So what I feel unprotected sometimes is because some clients they have a behavior that it's unnatural. And the questions they make and they come and what they say, and but you can hang out. It's not allowed to hang out. It's not allowed to block. You don't have the button to block clients. You have to go again over and over and over. So sometimes they say things they're not supposed to, or there are contents they are not supposed to say, but you cannot hang up and you cannot do anything. There's no alarm, so there's no block. And so I feel unprotected when it comes to this because you have to go through, and the person is just destroying you because it's in the worst condition ever, but you can't hang out. So you have to listen, and you still have to reply that, because if you don't, you're going to get the review anyways. So you are always concerned about that. And some people they want to know everything about you, and they keep asking you, but we can't say who we are. So they come and they keep asking, "Who are you? I want to know your name. I want to know where you live," and blah blah blah. I can't say none of those things. So basically, you waste more of your time just discussing to the person that you can't say, or you doing the reading itself. So
mm,
it's very evasive sometimes because there's a lot of flirtation. People that come very lonely, on the platform.
mhm,
There's a
mhm.
lot of this. Hmm.
So yes, it's very important that spiritual advisors have their privacy respected, and the goal is to have a platform where these features are advanced, they are highlighted, and they are being honored. I
Hmm.
wanted to take a second just to bring up a platform that is going to be coming out in the next couple of months. And I'm really excited because Ranses, just like all the other advisors, you're going to be hearing about this for the first time. I
Wow.
brought it up a little bit in the very beginning when I talked about Estrella, but going through this show and talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly of these platforms, I wanted to bring up some of the highlights that Estrella is going to have on its platform. One of the things that I want to talk about is Estrella is going to be big on AI. So it's going to have very high tech features, and you're going to be able to attract clients that feel like you are what they're looking for. So if a client is looking for a tarot reader and they want to talk about relationships and love, and they're looking for maybe a female who's in her 50s, this AI platform that's going to be on Estrella is going to be able to match that as closely as possible so that you're getting exactly what you asked for. So that's something that's going to be really cool on the platform for Estrella. Another thing that I'm actually really excited to talk about is the community. I brought this up in the beginning of the show, but I wanted to come back and circle around and talk about how the community on Estrella is going to be amazing. As a spiritual advisor, you're going to feel like you are a part of a family. You're a part of a team. You're not going to feel like an outsider. You're not going to feel like you don't matter, because at the end of the day, it's because of the spiritual advisors that are on the platform. You guys are the reason why Estrella is going to be successful. So Estrella recognizes that, and they want to highlight you guys and essentially reward you guys at different times in letting you know that you guys are valued and appreciated. And Estrella wants you to feel like you can highlight your business, your gifts, and your talents confidently on the platform. So that's a feature in itself, I feel, that separates Estrella from all the other platforms being offered today on the internet.
Amazing.
Another thing that I'm excited to talk about really quick is that you're going to get the proper certification, tools, training videos, everything that you need when you sign up on Estrella as an advisor. You're going to be walked through very detailed and carefully as to how the platform works, how to use the platform correctly, and how you can allow Estrella to enhance your business. Because at the end of the day, as an advisor, this is your business and this is what you guys are doing for a living. And so Estrella wants you to feel confident that you can promote your goods, sell your items, be able to give away things to your clients that you've worked really hard for and that you bring value to. And so Estrella is going to be offering that aspect on its platform, where you will actually have the opportunity to have your own store on the platform and be able to essentially promote you yourself. And that includes being able to use your name, because at the end of the day, Estrella does not want you to feel like you can't be yourself. Estrella wants
That's
you to feel like you can use
amazing.
your name and completely be yourself. So that is something else that I'm really excited to bring up. And not only that, it's going to have a fair system on the platform. And what I mean by that is you are not going to have ratings from the clientele. So this should take a load of stress off of you as an advisor to be able to be on the platform confidently, give the reading confidently, speak your truth confidently, and know at the end of the day that a client is not going to have the opportunity to rate you negatively for that. So that alone is going to be huge for the advisors on the platform.
Amazing.
I don't know how this sounds to you, Ranses, as an advisor, but I would imagine with everything that I brought up that this would probably get advisors excited to
Oh
check out
my
Estrella and see
gosh.
what it's about, correct?
I can you imagine now you can use your name. Now you're going to have a fair rate and you're going to have like fair price that is going to be negotiated. You have like your e-commerce, e-courses, info material that you can offer, like you said. So it's amazing,
Mhm,
to have a platform that basically you own your own land page. So this
mhm,
is unbelievable because then in the end, what Australians do is promoting you. So you
mhm.
can create your own content. It's you running the show. So it's completely opposite of what other platforms are going for right now. So I take my hat, my visible hat for you guys, because this is outstanding. Congratulations.
One thing that I did not mention that I wanted to mention, I was kind of waiting to the end to bring this up. And advisors, I want you to get excited about this because Estrella is only going to be taking 20% of your earnings. 20%. That's it. That's all Estrella is going to take. So it gives you the opportunity to grow your business, to not work nearly as many hours as some of you may be working on these other platforms. So now you don't have to look at 16+ hour days. Now you can have a nice work life balance where you can work a few hours a day and enjoy your personal life. Because at the end of the day, we understand, all of us understand, whether you're on the Estrella platform, a part of the team or not, that advisors have their own personal lives. So we want to make sure that that is being highlighted and that you are not in front of a computer or phone all day long working. So I don't know how you feel about that,
Oh
Ranses,
my
but
gosh,
that had me excited.
I've never seen this number, seriously. 80% commission for somebody in the platforms? Never. This
Mm-hmm.
never happened.
Mm-hmm.
So, can you imagine how excited it's going to be to have a platform that actually pays you well, is not going to give you ratings, and you're going to be free to work? You're going to work, full of energy, full of love, and not fear anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to give your best, like not your half. So
Yes.
that's what is going to be the difference. Wow. Congratulations again.
I
Estrella
am
is a beautiful
so I
project.
am so excited about this opportunity that Estrella is offering for you
Oh my
guys.
gosh.
And Ranses, I just wanted to say thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being on the show, for giving us your insight as a spiritual advisor, and telling us about some of your experiences and what you've experienced being on these platforms. And really quick, before I sign off and before Ranses signs off, I wanted to tell the spiritual advisors that are watching this show, if you have any questions or concerns, or if you want to get more information to check out Estrella, please visit the website estrella.chat. That is Estrella, Estrella.chat. You can actually go on the website, and as you land on the homepage, you'll scroll down, and there's two things you can do. If you're a spiritual advisor, you can scroll down, and where it says seeking spiritual advisors, apply now, you'll click on that button, you'll fill out the form, and you can apply to be an advisor on the Estrella website. And while you're at it, you can scroll down even further and get your daily horoscope. So that way, not only are you getting your daily horoscope, but you're staying up to date on what's happening in the Estrella community. I know Estrella is really excited to launch in the next couple of months and to have you amazing advisors on the platform, because at the end of the day, Estrella realizes how hard you guys work, what value you bring to the table, and we want to make sure that you are being highlighted. So, Ranses, again, thank you so much for
Thank
being a
you.
guest.
Oh my gosh. I want to say thank you. And thank you for Estrella for this company, and the opportunity to sign up was so great. I already did, and I'm so excited to be part of this team. And I'm so excited, and I enjoy, and I am inviting also people that probably know me as advisors, other advisors. I would say, come, guys, because you can trust. It's something that is not a scam. It's good, and you're going to believe that it's going to change your life. I believe that because I can see this talking to Dan. It's just like amazing what is about to come, and with the company itself.
Yes. Well, thank you again, Ranses. I
Thank
appreciate you
you.
being on the show today. It's been a pleasure. And for those of you who are watching and listening, don't hesitate. Go on Estrella.chat, sign up as a spiritual advisor, and be a part of a community that is going to be amazing. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.